Welcome to this epic explainer. Today, we're taking a trip straight into the pages of the ancient Bhagavatam. But hey, don't let the ancient setting fool you. This is a story absolutely packed with high drama, extreme power dynamics, and a lesson in emotional intelligence that is completely relevant to our modern lives right now. We're looking at a legendary showdown where quiet humility faces off against absolute, unchecked rage.
Okay, let's dive into this. What happens when unstoppable ego meets immovable devotion? It's the ultimate setup for a major kalesh, a massive conflict. On one side, we have someone with absolute pure focus. On the other, we have someone with all the power in the world but an ego the size of a mountain. This story is going to show us exactly who wins that battle.
Now, to understand the crazy high stakes of our story, we first got to understand the Ekadashi Vrat. This isn't just about casually skipping a meal, guys. In our source material, this is described as a strict spiritual discipline, a serious vow dedicated to Lord Vishnu. It requires intense focus, deep devotion, and total physical and mental control. You fast completely, and then you must break that fast, a process called Purana, within a very specific, tight mathematical window of time on the very next day, Dwadashi. If you miss that window, your entire strict vow is broken, so the stakes literally couldn't be higher for someone dedicated to this path.
Section 1. The Devout King Ambrisha. Our protagonist's character profile is absolutely fascinating. King Ambrisha was literally the ultimate multitasker. The texts tell us he was a major ruler, managing the massive responsibilities of an entire kingdom, but his mind was constantly fixed on Hari Seva, service to the divine. Just imagine having absolute royal power, insane wealth and authority, but possessing absolutely zero arrogance. He was a pure bhakt, a true devotee. He didn't just sit on a throne and rule, he led by example, observing these intense Ekadashi Vratas right alongside all of his people. He was grounded, focused, and totally ego-free.
Section 2. The Ticking Clock Dilemma.
Now, what's really interesting here is that even the most grounded people get tested, and the universe decides to put Ambrisha in an incredibly high-pressure situation. It honestly plays out like a suspense thriller. Step 1. Ambrisha completes his intense Ekadashi fast. Step 2. Right as he's preparing to break his fast on Dwadashi, a highly intimidating VIP guest suddenly crashes the event, Sage Durvasa. Step 3. Ambrisha has a strict closing deadline to break his fast to complete his spiritual vow. The problem? In Indian culture, Atiti Devo Bhava, the guest is God. You absolutely cannot eat before your guest eats. But Sage Durvasa went down to the river to bathe and was taking a really long time. The clock is ticking, the deadline to break the fast is approaching fast, and Ambrisha is completely stuck.
This brings us to a massive clash of personalities. We've got Ambrisha, calm, duty-bound, heavily focused on his spiritual rules but deeply respectful of his guest. And then we have Sage Durvasa, undeniably powerful and spiritually advanced for sure, but volatile, easily triggered, and heavily ego-driven. Ambrisha has incredibly high emotional regulation. Durvasa has a dangerously short fuse. If Ambrisha breaks his fast before the sage eats, the sage is going to take it as a massive insult. But if he doesn't break his fast, his sacred vow is completely destroyed.
So, Ambrisha comes up with a brilliant solution. It's the ultimate jugaad, a highly technical, super smart fix. He consults his learned advisors, and they tell him, just drink a sip of water. In the strict rules of the scriptures, drinking water counts as breaking the fast, so his Ekadashi vow is saved and the deadline is met. However, drinking water does not count as a full meal, meaning he hasn't officially eaten before his VIP guest. It's the perfect middle ground. He honors the guest, drinks only water, and keeps his spiritual deadline. Problem solved, right? Well, not exactly.
Section 3. The Sage's Fiery Wrath.
Because when you're dealing with a massive ego, even the most respectful logic just gets thrown right out the window. Sage Durvasa finally returns from the river, but he doesn't just sit down to eat. No, he activates his divine vision, basically tapping into his supernatural surveillance, and immediately discovers what Ambrisha did. He sees that the king drank water to break the fast before feeding him. Now, a humble person might say, smart move, you kept your vow and still waited for me. But an ego-driven person, they take it as a massive, deeply personal attack.
Sage Durvasa absolutely loses it. He is completely triggered. The source describes him flying into a blind, terrifying rage. His ego is so bruised by this perceived slight that he forgets all his own spiritual discipline, he completely forgets that Ambrisha is a righteous king, and he just sees red. His unchecked anger boils over into a completely toxic outburst.
And he doesn't just yell. Durvasa takes it to a completely terrifying level. He literally rips a dreadlock from his own head, slams it to the ground, and uses his mystic powers to summon a demon, a terrifying female entity named Kritya. He commands this horrifying demon to completely destroy the humble, unarmed King Ambarisha right then and there. It's an extreme overreaction fueled entirely by pure arrogance and pride.
Section 4. The Ultimate Divine Rescue.
But the universe always has a way of balancing things out, and the power dynamics here completely flip. While this demon Kritya is rushing toward him, King Ambarisha doesn't even flinch. He doesn't run, he doesn't fight back, he just stands there with folded hands, completely surrendered. And this brilliantly illustrates the core message of the Bhagavatam. When a true, selfless, and humble devotee is threatened, the divine steps in personally. Lord Vishnu himself intervenes. God simply cannot stand by while arrogance tries to crush pure devotion.
The text tells us that Lord Vishnu immediately deploys his absolute ultimate weapon, the Sudarshana Chakra. This blazing divine disc instantly destroys the demon Kritya. But wait, it doesn't stop there. The chakra actually locks onto Sage Durvasa and starts chasing him. Suddenly, the incredibly powerful, angry sage is literally running for his life. The tables have completely turned. Durvasa quickly realizes that all his mystic powers and all his massive ego are absolutely useless against the supreme divine protection granted to a humble devotee. It is the ultimate humbling experience.
Section 5. Lessons for today's youth.
So, what does this all mean for us? How does this epic showdown apply to our lives today? Well, beneath all the ancient magic, this is basically a modern psychological fable. Number 1. Unchecked ego destroys from within. Durvasa had everything: knowledge, power, status, but his ego made him act like a total tyrant and it almost got him destroyed. Number 2. True power lies in quiet humility. Ambarisha didn't need to flex. His quiet emotional regulation and pure devotion were his ultimate shield. And number 3, selfless duty conquers all obstacles. If you do the right thing, without arrogance, the universe honestly has your back.
Which leaves us with this final thought for you to reflect on. How will you control your ego when the pressure is really on? The next time you feel triggered or someone challenges your pride, will you react like Durvasa or will you stay grounded like Ambarisha? Think about it. If you enjoyed this explainer and want to decode more amazing ancient stories with us, hit that like button, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and follow for more. See you in the next one.